Recently, Binance launched its own prediction market. Now you can use crypto on Binance to bet on the outcomes of global events like Polymarket. Taking this opportunity today, I want to chat with you about something really interesting that a lot of people still haven't fully understood. You'll notice that over the past couple of years, more and more people in the English-speaking world have stopped staring at the news and started watching places like Polymarket instead. A lot of folks have slowly realized one simple truth. When someone just shares an opinion, there is no real cost if they are wrong. But when being wrong means losing money, the way they look at problems changes immediately. So in today's video, I want to make one thing crystal clear for you. Why prediction markets are becoming such a unique and powerful source of information in our time. And what are the opportunities linked to that? A lot of friends of mine still have a pretty vague idea about prediction markets. It's basically just gambling with a fancy new wrapper. But if you actually spend some time looking into it, you'll discover that its real value isn't in the betting. It's in the fact that it might be turning into an information market that's faster than news and more honest than opinions. So why am I talking about that today? Because over the past 2 weeks, everyone has felt the same thing. There is more information than ever on the internet, but less and less of it you can actually trust. Media companies, they have their own agenda. KOLs, they have their own motives. And institutions have their own interests. So you scroll through the pile of news and analysis every day, and in the end, you still don't know who or what to believe. Prediction markets work differently. You don't have to listen to what people say. You don't have to believe anyone. You just look at one thing. How much money the market is willing to bet to put on a certain outcome. The logic behind it is pretty simple. Saying your opinion costs almost nothing, but when you have to put real money behind your judgment, your whole attitude changes completely. After all these years in crypto, I've seen it clearly. Opinions are everywhere, but people willing to take real responsibility for their opinions are rare. A lot of people sound super convincing until a key moment hits. They delete their post on X, or they quietly change their tune. In prediction markets, you can't just change your mind. The price is your answer. That's why I really like a phrase, skin in the game. Are you actually making a real judgment, or are you just expressing emotion? The difference is huge. The real value of prediction market is exactly here. They filter out a huge chunk of empty slogans, cheap takes, and emotional performances right away. What's left isn't always 100% correct, of course. You have the percentages on the market. But it usually gets much more closer to the real probabilities. And it's really important in 2026. I really think it's really important in 2026 because we are entering an era where real truth feels increasingly scarce. The 2024 Trump election was a perfect example of that. Mainstream media was still hedging, pulling back and forth, and being super cautious right up until the official results. But on Polymarket, how was it? The prices on the related contracts had already made the winner extremely clear several hours before the announcements, the official announcements of the media. So you can say it's not the official result. Okay. But it did reflect the market consensus earlier and better and more directly than a lot of people. So for regular folks, that kind of signal is incredibly valuable because it lowers the cost of understanding. You don't need to read dozens of conflicting reports. Just watch how the probabilities move in real time and you'll see what the market is actually betting on. What will actually happen. Same thing with the Fed rate cuts expectations, ETF approval odds, or whether a certain bill will pass. In traditional media, these events often come across as fragmented, delayed, and sometimes even contradictory. But once you put them into a prediction market, they get compressed into a single, continuously updating probability curve. And this curve isn't perfect, of course, but it lets you see in real time how consensus is shifting, how sentiment is turning, and how money is repricing the outcome. You'll often notice that while news headlines are still arguing, the price has already delivered the answer. So honestly, this kind of scene isn't new. Most often than not, the first thing to move isn't the statements, it's the money. So why do I say that sometimes 1,000 bettors can be more accurate than 10 experts? It's not because the crowd is naturally smarter, but it's because distributed information gathering is simply more powerful. Experts have knowledge and frameworks. That's definitely important. I agree with that. But experts also have blind spots. They are biased and they can get trapped by their own past experiences. On the other hand, The people in the market may not be all professionals, but each one brings different details, backgrounds, observations, and preferences. Some are watching policy, some are watching on-chain data, some follow media sentiment, others pick up regional news. All that scattered information doesn't get summarized in a meeting. It gets directly traded into the price. So if you stay in this industry long enough, you'll realize something. A lot of people think markets are just emotion, but markets actually have a very important function. They force dispersed information to slowly aggregate into something observable. This process is kind of like what we often call an oracle in crypto. An oracle doesn't create facts. It just brings external world information into the system, into the crypto world, as quickly and as accurately as possible. Prediction markets work in a similar way. They don't manufacture the truth, but in the middle of all the conflicting signals, they try to distill the most likely outcome ahead of time. So it helps to think of it as a probability version of an information compressor, rather than a lot of people are calling it, a casino. Of course, prediction markets aren't magic, and they are definitely not a holy grail. They can be wrong. When liquidity is low, prices get distorted, get manipulated. When rules aren't clearly written, settlement can be controversial. During extreme emotions or when someone deliberately tries to manipulate the narrative, the market can still get shaken. The price only reflects what people think right now, not some universal final truth. So you shouldn't treat it as your only source of information, of course. And you definitely shouldn't see a high probability and immediately go all in, of course. But even with those limitations, it's still worth following long term, because it gives ordinary people like you, like me, a capability they rarely had before, turning a complicated world into probability changes that you can actually understand. There is one more thing many people haven't realized yet. Prediction markets aren't just an information tool. They can also serve as a risk hedging tool, especially for regular retail investors. For example, if you hold a certain type of asset and you are worried that a policy event, regulatory change, or macro event could hurt it, then the related prediction contracts can theoretically give you a way to hedge. It's not perfect insurance, of course, but it offers a dimension that retail investors almost never had access to before. You cannot only express your view, you can actually pay to protect your own risk. This logic is very common in traditional finance, but now it's being made much more accessible to regular people. Personally, I think this is one of the most valuable aspects. Many tools in the past were known to exist, but ordinary people could never touch them. Now at least you are starting to have a chance to understand them and use them to protect yourself. I know I'm repeating myself a lot in this video, but you have to understand how important is it and how it can be useful for you. As you travel the crypto space, you'll discover that what's truly valuable has never been just how much a coin pumps. It's all about who can recognize signals earlier and who can faster separate noise from real information. That's exactly where the meaning of prediction markets lies. It won't guarantee you to get rich quick or to get rich at all, but it might help you get manipulated less, raising your chances, raising your probabilities to get rich. You won't get fooled by clickbait headlines again. You will avoid misreading the direction at the most critical moments. For regular investors, that's already incredibly useful. Alright, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a like, leave a comment, share it, subscribe and stuff like that. If you think that what I shared was helpful, go ahead, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, join my Telegram. The link is just in the description below. See you in the next one, guys. Keep your eyes on prediction markets.